minutes, after which GK will speak, and then we'll have GK speak, and we'll have questions afterwards.
Alright. Okay, before my main speech, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Say. I'm from Christ in the third year, and I'm planning on staying for initial year. So there are three core principles upheld by iCUSU, namely ensuring the well-being of internationals, creating a platform for both students and societies, and also promoting access to some of the underprivileged groups abroad. In my speech, I'll be concentrating on the second one, platform. Fitting a truly diverse and cosmopolitan university, there are numerous active societies in Cambridge, both offering welfare support for their members, but also attempting to share their culture, unique culture. But as you may have noticed, despite these attempts and willingness to share their cultures, there are very little interaction among the societies themselves. This may in part reflect a lack of incentives to do so on the part of societies, but I think it may also reflect the lack of interaction between these societies, perhaps reflecting a communication failure. As a university-wide student union with the ability to connect these various students and societies, I believe iCUSU should take a more active role in actually performing its role as an umbrella body for the internationals. By this, and this can be done in several ways. And firstly, one could collect information on various events held by societies and using Facebook and Hermes as a medium to inform other members of universities of these events. We can do this through weekly bulletins. I've read on the website that the iCUSU attempted to do this, but actually on the Facebook page itself, the evidence wasn't so clear. For instance, the Korean Society this year held 2 film events, and even though we wanted to really connect to a wider group of people, we weren't able to do so because of lack of means. And with an organisation like iCUSU, I think we can. Okay, cheers. We could have done this much better. Secondly, on a similar light to the film festival, I think the food festival this year was a very successful event. I think we should really carry on that light, meaning we should put greater emphasis on organising events regarding international films and music, both on a university level and possibly more importantly on the college level, with greater interaction with the college directors themselves. These are some of the new goals I hope I can help iCUSU achieve. Just on my credentials, previously on the committee of the University International Development Society, and also the committee of the Korean Society where I'm acting as treasurer. I think I have the adequate experience and vision to lead iCUSU in the right direction, and as well as fulfill my other duties such as managing the budget, communicating with the university, and also exploiting the synergies from working with others in the committee. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, stand, sit, lie.
Okay. Afternoon all, my name is Chiku and I'm running for chair. I really agree with Steve. One of iCUSU's most important objective is integration. Integration among internationals and integration between internationals and home students. Previously, iCUSU has focused on welfare and entertainment activities a lot, but understanding each other's cultural background also plays a very, very important role inside this integration process. The hugely successful World Foods Festival this year was a very great effort to achieve this aim. While we now have the WFF, I would like to propose the WCF. What is it? The World Culture Festival. A festival to share and celebrate our diversity. The World Culture Festival will consist of a series of events in probably a couple of weeks, including World Culture Exhibition, World Music Concert, and World Culture Forum. The international societies have done a very good job in organizing the welfare and entertainment events. What the iCUSU can do as a platform for integration is to bring the societies together in cooperation by organizing such an umbrella event for various groups to take part. I was really excited when I first arrived in Cambridge. more than 2 years ago actually. Because at that time, I knew I would share my life with the brilliant mind, just you, from all over the world, and I would like to work with them, to talk with them, and make friends with them. I used to organize talks and discussion sessions of Chinese classics, and I also had the experience of inviting high-profile speakers for an international society. I was engaged in a wide range of international activities, such as organizing an exchange visit from Peking University in China to Cambridge and teaching English to high school students from Spain, China, Middle East in an international summer camp. So I would like to serve all of you with my passion and experience, with my heart and soul. Thank you.
We'll have Q&A for Ji-Ken. Say, or you can ask both of them together as well. Yes, please. Kwan, go ahead.
Yeah, so national societies play a huge role in Cambridge life. To what extent do you think it's an obstacle for integration?
Because
Question for both of you. And also, could you also talk about your involvement in national societies and the extent to which you feel yourself integrated into Cambridge life?
So, I don't think it should be an obstacle, but there is a fact that different national society has a very limited range of members. For example, the Chinese society only has Chinese members, Singaporean society only has Singaporean members. So that could act as an obstacle, because when they organize one event, only their member, only just the society's member would attend. So this is my answer to the first question. And for the second question, I'm quite involved in various of society's events. As I've written on my manifesto, I used to be the IT officer of Chinese Cultural Society, and I used to be the head of finance in CanFM, the student review, and I also used to be, and I'm now the secretary of the Chinese Classic Society. So basically, I would like to involve with all sorts of societies and events in Cambridge, and yeah, so that is my my personal character and my experience.
If we can keep the answers to 30 seconds, that'd be great.
My answer would be I don't think it's an obstacle. Like I said, these international society, their main goals are to provide welfare for their own members, and second, to share our culture. And you can see this in our Korean society, we have more than just Korean members. Some of our most highly attended members is a Japanese student. And as I experienced my background, like I mentioned, I've been working with the International Development Society, also in Korean society, also an active member of such as iCUSU and AJC.
Thank you. I've got a question. With regards to new ideas you want to bring to the society, GT, you have the World Cultural Festival, which I think is actually a very good idea. You mentioned to say that you want to, basically the ideas you came up with are ideas that we have implemented past year. Do you have any new ideas, or if your ideas have to do with last year, what sort of improvements would you make? Because like the Facebook, Twitter, newsletter, all of this hasn't actively done past year.
So for the World Culture Festival, I think it's just a wider range of platform. For example, for this year, we have World Food Festival, and that is a very good, it's a very good attempt to build a platform and invite other individuals or societies to take part. But for the World Culture Festival, we can introduce much more interesting events inside, and using that to promote integration among different national societies and different kind of international students. Yeah.
What sort of events are you thinking? I mean, this the World Food Festival, which has some food.
Yeah, and like in my speech, I mentioned the World Culture Forum. I myself am very interested in culture. I think
what would go in there? What would go in there?
Yeah, I think it would be a very good idea to invite like just Cambridge students with like international students to introduce our own culture. It could be range from daily lifestyle to historical stories to like a wide range of audiences from all over the university. Could either be like home or international students. And we can also introduce some high-profile speakers as well, so that like to make it like more focused or more like it's like better presented.
Well, it's my opinion that art is something that really has no borders. So, complementing the food that we had this year, I was thinking we could hold something more along the lines of music or films. I think films is a perfect example. I know many people who are quite interested in the Korean film industry, the uprising Korean film industry. And that's why in the Korean Freshers Fair, that they told me that they were so interested that I wanted to see more of it. But when we did start actually advertising on our Facebook, not many people actually responded. So this was my second point of actually creating a platform where I could actually promote these events and take a more active role in sharing our
We
culture.
have a Facebook page that does exactly that.
I've seen it, but maybe you haven't gone into contact with the societies I'm familiar with. By that I just mean AJS and their various calligraphy and culture sharing programs. With us, the Korean Society, you haven't been in touch with it at all. And I think taking a more active role and a more active stance rather than just waiting there and waiting for the society to come to you first. I think that is the key difference of what you would like me to do. Something that is that I have.
Thank you. Yes, Lois, any question?
A question was said, we said that we have been in touch with your society. I'm in touch with you, and usually responsible for that.
That was just a previous society's coordinator. She was very active in getting on it.
So I've been in touch. I've tried to be in touch with your president, and he did respond. And I will be in touch with you, and you took me through to the president. And the thing is that it's really difficult to get the society involved in these kind of events. For example, World Festival was a lot of effort to get all the society to come. So if you're really ambitious in organizing, like, for example, a World Culture Festival or like film festival, it's going to be a lot of work. So how are you going to get all the societies to participate? What can you provide them in return?
I think I will show that iCUSU is a powerful tool, a powerful platform. Because I think one of the reasons why our president and events officer didn't respond as she wanted to is that we didn't realise that what this organisation was stood for and what role it really did play and what influence that did have in the rest of the university. And if you guys, I don't want to say too directly, but if the committee members were more, I don't know people the word, more active and more articulate in the ways that you could show what you were able to do, I think we were more willing to participate and help you along. That's just my opinion.
Jordan?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about integration, and also about integration last year as well. So just out of curiosity, both candidates, what is the biggest problem or biggest barrier for integration for students in Cambridge?
I'm going to start with C.
The biggest barriers to integration, I think it's the mindset that people come with. And it's not particularly helped by the International Freshers Week having so many events set up with just international students. I think to start in a good light, I think we should actually emphasize on the essentials first. So as people mentioned, the freshers officers of getting all these together, bank account or bikes. Then if we're having just one freshers pub crawl, then we should not let ourselves be a substitute a college run integrating events, but more of a complement.
In my view, adoption into the lifestyle is much easier than an adaptation into a kind of way of thinking. The biggest obstacle in my view is just some sort of cultural barrier. We now here are living in a kind of similar lifestyle. But what about our past? What happened in our past in our home countries? So if we could organize some sort of events which can introduce our past our home culture to others. This can certainly like provide a chance for like internationals to know about each other thoroughly, I think. So this is my opinion.
Can I just add something to that? I think from the college part, quite a lot of the international held events are international swaps with one international college with another international college. I think that's kind of counterproductive in a way that doesn't really promote integration. I think we should run a closer partnership with our colleges and actually have college, on the college level, film nights or international food formal actually promoting the Pacific culture, actually offering something different to the college itself.
Yes.
Just very broadly, we both mentioned that there's this perception problem where people have a perception of being siloed in. You said that okay, people are not very active, but you must realize that perception and mindset are not something that you can change just by bringing in ideology. How do you plan to change the perception that people come in?
This is the kind of point I was talking about. I mean, in Christ, we say we're all for integration, but for all the exchange within one staircase, on staircase X. And that's the kind of perception that you want to give off, but wrong perception that we are taking as a whole. So I'm not saying that we should change something so drastically about that, but just change how we come to approach them, in a sense. Let's take the college example again. It might be promoting integration amongst international students, but for me, it's kind of the opposite. It's kind of promoting segregation of just the college, international zone. You see where I'm coming from? Maybe I wasn't so clear.
Not really, but it's fine.
Yeah. I'll try that question.
Okay, so both of you have spoken really well about the plans. So to help me decide who to vote for, could you just pick out on one thing that you disagree with each other? So if you tell me what you disagree based on
Okay, so it's not really a disagreement because I think a film festival to be honest, can be put into a culture festival. Art is about anything, and I proposed something like a music concert, a world music concert, so this is a very flexible platform. If the societies or international students are really interested in film, then we can organize a film night or film event, something like that. So it's not really a disagreement, but I do think we can put a wider perspective into like all of the different types of culture. Yeah.
I think if you've been listening to our conversation for the past 10 minutes, I think you'll find that there are quite a lot of similarities between what I said and what he said. And where he's just mentioned some of the macro problems, very far perspective, I think I've given more of a micro solution to some of the internal problems I'm facing. I think that would be what I think are the key differences.
Yes, we'll take the last question.
I just have a practical question, because you're a third-year economist and you say you plan to stay on for 1 more year. What if your plan change or your plan fall through? What's your plan B?
Well, I applied for the MPhil in Finance and Economics, and if that doesn't go through, my backup will be full-time management.
Oh, I see.
Yes, you.
To my understanding, if there's one society that has the greatest percentage in Cambridge, that would be iCUSU, simply because we have such a large member list. I'm not sure whether you're aware of this, but we have 8,000 people in our main list. It's one of the biggest in Cambridge. A lot of things we were talking about last year was that, if you see our posters, always take a leap, meet the world. I think last year we've been trying to make iCUSU the first choice of people in Cambridge reaching out to the world. To what extent do you think iCUSU has met this goal, or to extend, or maybe simply, because 1 year ago, people think of iCUSU as a society organized in formals, and then this year we did a revolutionary change to make it, to have a lot of flagship events, as we all know about the World Food Festival. What's your vision of iCUSU next year? Because you guys will be the future chairman of iCUSU, and your vision is essential to this organization. So would you want to shed some light on this vision?
I think iCUSU has a performance platform in the sense that they were one of the biggest financial institutions who are actually unknown to the wider public. I think the committee this year have led the society on the right path. I totally agree with the food festival being run. And I would like to just continue on that path by creating a stable platform to actually share our culture, like with the film and the music that we produced.
I think it is right that, like in previous years, iCUSU focused quite a lot on like organizing formals or such welfare sessions. But this year we got the World Food Festival, and I think we can continue to like to run in that way and introduce more events to integrate and like build a stage for various ethnical groups, for various international students and societies to play on it. So that is my my objective. And I do think it's not very feasible if we hold several like specific events ourselves. Because, for example, in the World Food Festival, iCUSU doesn't cook. iCUSU doesn't cook, did it? So what we should actually do is to encourage the different wide range of societies to participate, to give their idea, and we should probably adapt to their need for integration. That's my view.
I wish we really create a partnership with colleges. And I know from actually working for the International Treasures rep in JCR, but there seems to be very little, or it might be a complete misconception, but at least with our current rep anyway, there seems to be very little interaction with the iCUSU itself. And the greatest source of integration will come from the college, and greater emphasis on that will really just raise more awareness in society as well.
Thank you. Lois, we'll take your last question.
My problem is, both of us have experience of bunker, I guess. So there's supposed to be an integration for international students. But what happened was Malaysia got together and China got together. So what you would see at the international events is Japanese people speak Japanese together and Chinese people speak Chinese together. So there's zero integration and a lot of events. So how are you going to solve like the language barrier and like the cultural barrier?
What practical things do you think you guys can introduce to address this?
Yeah. It's really good that we got organize these ambitious events, but how are we to encourage integration at events?
Like I mentioned, people came to me in freshman school saying they like Korean music, they like Korean culture. Yet when we advertised to the various societies, we've had very, very little response, which was for me kind of confusing in a sense. And we can't force someone to integrate if they're not too willing to integrate. As long as there are some who are willing to integrate and we can create a platform for them to come along, I think that is the most that we can do.
Yeah, and I think like we can set up some sort of events just because probably the only common language we have might be English. So some sort of the work culture forum would probably be English, and from that way we can probably address